Have you ever sat down to study, looked at your books, and immediately felt tired? Not because you're lazy, but because your brain is already overwhelmed before you even begin. Maybe the subject feels too long, or the chapter feels too confusing, or your mind keeps whispering, this is going to take forever. And so you keep scrolling, you keep delaying, and studying slowly becomes this big, heavy emotional burden, something you should do but don't actually feel capable of doing. I've been there too. For a long time, studying felt like climbing a hill with a backpack full of stones. Everything felt harder than it needed to be. But then I discovered something interesting. Most of us don't struggle with studying because of the work itself. We struggle because of how our brain interprets the work, and that's where today's rule comes in. In this video, we're going to talk about an underrated productivity rule that can make studying feel lighter, simpler, and genuinely easier. Not because it magically reduces your workload, but because it reduces the mental weight your brain feels when you sit down. 1. What the rule is. 2. Why it works so well for students. 3. How to apply it to any subject or task. 4. Common mistakes to avoid. 5. Real examples so you know exactly how to use it. By the end, you'll not only understand the method, you'll be able to use it immediately, and you'll feel that difference the next time you study. Let's get into it. 1. The rule: make it smaller than you think. The idea is simple. Whenever something feels difficult, shrink the task until it becomes easy enough to start. Not easy to finish, not easy to master, just easy to begin. Our brain doesn't fear work, it fears uncertainty and overwhelm. So when you look at a chapter like organic chemistry, hydrocarbons, your brain doesn't see one task, it sees hours, diagrams, reactions, memorization, possible confusion, potential failure. No wonder you avoid it. Now compare that to a task like study the first two reactions for 10 minutes. Feels different, right? You can do that. It's almost too easy. That's the point. I remember a time when I had to study a 45-page chapter the night before an exam. I kept staring at the book thinking, where do I even start? Everything felt impossible until I shrunk the task to read the first page. One page turned into two, two turned into five, and suddenly the momentum I didn't have before appeared. The rule worked then, and it still works now. There are three main reasons. Your brain rewards starting. Activation energy is highest before you begin. Once you start, your mind shifts from avoid to engage. Even a tiny action can flip that switch. B. Small tasks reduce emotional resistance. When something feels smaller, it feels safer. You're less likely to procrastinate, overthink, or compare yourself to others. C. Momentum is stronger than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Momentum builds through action. Once you're in motion, continuing feels natural. This is why top students often say, I study a little, but often. It's not discipline, it's reduced resistance. Let's break this into a practical system you can use every day. Step 1. Define the big task. Say your task is study chapter 5, photosynthesis. Your brain immediately thinks, this is long. This will take forever. That's okay. Write it down anyway. Step 2. Shrink it dramatically. Your new goal becomes one of these. Study for 10 minutes. Read 2 paragraphs. Do 3 practice questions. Do 3 practice questions. Watch 5 minutes of a lecture. Rewrite 1 formula. The key: it should feel almost too small. If it feels medium-sized, shrink again. Step 3. Start without negotiating. Don't think, don't preview the rest. Just do the tiny piece you agreed on. Have you ever sat down to study, looked at your books, and immediately felt tired? Not because you're lazy, but because your brain is already overwhelmed before you even begin. Examples: after reading 2 paragraphs, okay, maybe I can read 1 more. After solving 3 questions, psika, let's do 1 more. You keep building tiny wins. Examples: after reading 2 paragraphs, okay, maybe I can read 1 more. After solving 3 questions, psika, let's do 1 more. You keep building tiny wins. Step 5. Stop at a natural point. You don't need to turn every session into a marathon. End when you feel like your mind is getting tired. Ending early actually increases your chances of returning the next day. This is the part students often forget. Consistency matters more than intensity. Example 1. A real student scenario. A student once told me they could never finish math homework on time. They kept sitting down and feeling overwhelmed. We tried the small task rule. Instead of do math homework, they started with solve 1 question. On the first day, they solved 4, not because the assignment became easier, but because the starting point became easier. Example 2. Japanese student study technique. In many Japanese schools, students are taught micro goals early on. Instead of, I will study English today, they say, I will review 5 vocabulary words. 5 words often turn into 20. Example 3. My own habit. I used to dread revision days, so I changed my approach to revise for 7 minutes. That's it. 7 minutes felt harmless. But almost every time I stayed for 20, 30 minutes, not because I forced myself, but because starting felt light. Even a simple method can go wrong, so here are the mistakes to avoid. Pitfall 1. Making the small task too complicated. Summarize the entire section, but only the important points, and also rewrite the diagrams. That's not a small task. Keep it clean, keep it obvious, keep it easy. Pitfall 2. Turning it into perfectionism. Some students shrink tasks but then spend 30 minutes polishing one paragraph. Remember, the goal is progress, not perfection. If your tiny step becomes heavy, shrink it again. Pitfall 3. Expecting motivation first. This method isn't supposed to make you feel motivated before you start. It helps you feel capable once you start. Don't wait for motivation. Just focus on the first small step. Pitfall 4. Treating small tasks as failures. Sometimes you'll only study for 5 minutes or only read one page. That's okay. Small wins compound. This method is about reducing resistance, not increasing pressure. Consistency is built slowly. Pitfall 5. Overstacking tiny tasks. A common mistake, you do one small task and immediately create 10 more. That becomes overwhelming again. Instead, finish one small task, pause, decide if you want one more. One step at a time. Before you click away, I want you to try something. Pause this video for 10 seconds, think of the one subject you've been avoiding, and shrink the next step into something so small you could do it right after this video. Maybe it's one paragraph, one question, one page, one definition. Start with that. You might be surprised how quickly the heaviness fades once you just begin. If you found this helpful, and you want more study methods that actually feel human and realistic, consider subscribing. I make videos just like this, calm, simple, and easy to follow. And remember, you don't have to study harder to succeed. Sometimes you just need to start smaller.